A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Matthew. On that day, Jesus went out of the house and sat down by the sea. Such a large crowd gathered around him that he got into a boat and sat down, and the whole crowd stood along the shore. And he spoke to them at great length in parables, saying, A sower went out to sow. And as he sowed, some seed fell on the path, and birds came and ate it up. Some fell on rocky ground where it had little soil, and it sprang up at once because the soil was not deep. And when the sun rose, it scorched it, and it withered for lack of roots. Some seed fell among thorns, and the thorns grew up and choked it. But some seed fell on rich soil and produced fruit, 100 or 60 or 30-fold. Whoever has ears ought to hear. The Gospel of the Lord. Well, good afternoon. So Father Francis here on this 15th Sunday in Ordinary Time. Just taking a little bit of a break here, celebrating a significant milestone in my life. Just completed the 2-year course of Good Shepherds, Good Leaders. And today we're back talking about the good soil and the seeds of faith. Many times when we encounter this gospel, this enigmatic parable of Jesus, a lot of times I think we don't read to the end. In many ways, we look at the 3 different types of soil amongst which the seed fell. Some seed, we're told, fell among the rocky soil, and it didn't it didn't produce any roots. Some fell upon thorns and weeds, and it was choked out. And then the third soil, the good soil, was the soil that again was the fertile soil where the seed fell. And all that's good. That's all good. But we have to remember that the end of the story, it talks a lot about the great 30 and 60 and 100-fold that comes about from the seed that is sown. And we make the mistake, I think, well, I don't know if it's a mistake or to say it's a mistake, but a lot of times we stop short because we look at our lives and we think, well, gosh, maybe what kind of soil am I? Am I the rocky soil? The soil that is shallow, has no real roots for the seed to take hold of? Am I the thorny, weedy soil that has lots of concerns that choke out the seed of God? And a lot of times we kind of get stuck there. That's about as far as we read. And I think we can do ourselves a disservice, because what we focus on is what we lack, our own inadequacies, our own weaknesses, if you will. And I think the message really is what we need to do is read to the very end. Read to the very end of this gospel and find out that God is going to be faithful to the seed. God's the sower, and He's the one who is going to bring a mighty increase. A lot of times I think we make the mistake of, although God calls us to participate in the life of faith, He calls us to cooperate with the grace that He gives to us. But ultimately, it is the work of God within us. It's the work of God within His church. It's the work and power of God to bring forth the increases. And that's the beauty, if you will. That is the beauty of the life of faith. It's something that we just kind of we make ourselves present to the mysteries of the faith. As long as, again, we are striving to be, we're striving to receive that seed, then we're going to find that there will be an increase. There will be a harvest. And let's be honest, I think most of us, if we look at our lives, we can very readily see that maybe we do tend to be a little shallow. soil. We do tend to have the concerns of our daily lives, like weeds and thorns, sometimes choke out these elements. But the seed itself is from God. You know, God longs to create. That's why I think the second reading is the key to our readings today. And I'll just try to, if I can briefly find that, because it talks about this wonderful gift of creation, the second reading. I consider that the sufferings of this present time, and this is from Romans, are as nothing compared with the glory to be revealed for us. For creation awaits eager expectation the revelation of the children of God. For creation was made subject to futility, not of its own accord, but because of the one who subjected it, in hope that creation itself would be set free from the slavery of corruption, and to share in the glorious freedom of the children of God. We know that all creation is groaning in labor pains even until now, and not only that, but we ourselves, who are the first fruits of the Spirit, we also groan within ourselves as we await adoption, the redemption of our bodies. And so the message, I think, is a hopeful one, is that although we acknowledge, yes, there are problems sometimes in our lives, we get maybe over concerned with the problems that face our lives and the world. The fact is that this process of creation, this process of life goes on. And you and I are called to participate in that. We're not called to be the creator. We are not. There's one thing that's certain. Actually, two things are certain. One, God is God, and the second is we're not. And that lets us, I think, kind of gives us a sense of freedom that we can look with hope to that ongoing process of life, spiritual life within us. And so if there are weeds, or the soil may be a little dry, or maybe a little barren, or a little shallow at times, that's okay. The bottom line is that the seed is eternal. The seed comes from God, and that's what springs forth hope in our lives, not only in the future for future resurrection, but even now in the daily travails and joys of this existence we now share today. So hopefully you got something out of that message today. Please do me a favor, like and subscribe, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care.